and only DNVR. 2 goes out to Zach Mace, RK at the bar. 3 for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number 4 still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with Breck, Brew, and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio A, actually. The A stands for a bunch of BS, which is what was out there at practice today. And we are presented by MSU Denver. They're not BS. They're great. msudenver.edu/online is where you can go scope out all they have to offer. They have all sorts of different classes and programs that you can get into. And MSU Denver students work twice as many hours as students attending any other Colorado institution. So if you're looking to keep a full-time job while getting your education and furthering education, no better place than MSU Denver Online.
My boy, what is up, Ryan? You got a nice little tan on. Must have meant you were out at Broncos practice today. And you know what a lot of BS gets you?
What's that?
It gets you a hot and fiery partner on this podcast.
Yeah, I quite literally woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
So you have one side of the bed.
Yes, well, I actually wasn't on the wrong side of the bed.
Did you roll over?
Yeah, I was just like, it wasn't a comfortable wake up.
Oh, okay.
Was like a little rushed. Then I went out there, and let me just preface all of this by saying, like, I was so excited to be excited today. Like, I went out there, and I was like, man, this is going to be awesome. Hopefully Drew makes some big plays. Hopefully Jerry Jeudy's out there carving people up. Hopefully Cortland Sutton's the same guy we heard about Cortland Sutton being earlier this week. I was so ready to come in here and be optimistic. And the Broncos just absolutely squashed that. So I'm just going to tell you guys, like, this isn't going to be fun.
Oh, no.
If you are someone who's, like, feeling really optimistic about the Broncos and doesn't want that to get stepped on, it's okay if you turn this off.
Wow, that may be the only time in this show where you've, like, said it's okay to stop listening.
It's okay. I understand. And, you know, someone in the Madden chat today was saying, like, I don't understand why you wouldn't have hope. And from a fan perspective, I totally agree. I'm always hopeful about the Buffs. Like, they go 1-11. Before the season, I said they were going 8-4. But that's not what this is going to be today. So if you want to keep your hope, now's your chance.
Wow. I mean, you've given everyone the opportunity to leave.
I have. I will say Andre made me in a little bit better mood on bets today.
Thank you, Dre.
So it maybe this could have been even worse. But Zach, that was trash. Like, from the start of practice to the end of practice, there's no energy. There is no sense of urgency. I don't see coaches really doing anything. I'm seeing lackadaisical errors. I'm seeing 2 quarterbacks who can't put the ball in the right place behind guys all day. I'm seeing inexcusable turnovers in the red zone, looking at you, Teddy. I'm seeing Drew Lock being afraid to throw the ball. Yep. I'm seeing nothing. I don't have one good thing to say about that practice other than Draymond Jones was dominant, but I'm in such a mood that just tells me the offensive line was garbage.
Here's a way to put today's practice. The loudest that the crowd got that I can remember, and you were kind of over by the crowd, so you can tell me if I'm wrong, was when Brett Rippon, number 4, took off for a run down the field. That's what got the crowd hyped the most today. And Ryan, today was just unquestionably the most disappointing day for the quarterbacks collectively. Both of them just very underwhelming. And one of the things you said, Drew not throwing the ball, it seems like he's got to a point of camp where he's now afraid to throw the ball. He's downfield. He's afraid to try to make the big plays, so he's just not doing it anymore. And Ryan, that's not the Drew Lock that any of us want to see. If he's going to make mistakes, well, then he's going to make mistakes, but at least he's taking chances. Right now, I mean, and we do want to see him minimize those mistakes, right? Of course, everyone wants to see that, but it can't be at the expense of going through an entire practice with one pass over 10 yards.
Yep.
One pass.
And are you talking about the one to Tim Patrick?
Yes.
And that was a sack. And someone in the comments said first pass was a Bridgewater touchdown to Judy. That was also a sack.
Yeah.
So it's just so uninspiring. And I've said this from the start of the offseason. I'm in show me mode. I'm not going to believe anything about this team until I see it in real action. The problem is I'm going the wrong way. Normally, training camp builds me up, and then the season lets me down.
Builds you up, Buttercup.
Yeah, well,
Just to let you down.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, this is going the opposite way. And someone actually tweeted at me and said, "It's been bad for 5 years. Is it worse?" And I said, "No, I'm just better at knowing what bad looks like."
You've been through this 5 times.
Exactly, and it's bad. I don't know what the coaches are doing. They're kind of just, it's like baseball third base coaches. Just kind of standing out there, spitting some seeds, walking around, saying a couple things. I'm like, somebody yell at somebody.
Right. And Ryan, this conversation I had with someone today, 2 different things about it. Did you like what happened with the Giants on Wednesday?
Okay, you cannot have your starting quarterback at the bottom of the pile. Everything else I'm cool with.
Yes, and I agree. It's good to have that passion. Now, Vic says he doesn't want the fights, and I get that. Mm-hmm. But there was one point in practice today where McTelvin Ajim hit, I believe it was Cameron Fleming. He punched him kind of like this, right in the face mask. And the sidelines kind of erupted just in talk. No one actually hit each other. But Ryan, there was excitement there. And not excitement in seeing a potential fight. There was energy. There was juice there. And that's what this whole camp has really been missing. And that's what we didn't have today. And it brings me to the second point is, you remember when the San Francisco 49ers came here a couple of years ago and there was music playing because Kyle Shanahan wanted that, and their players were pumped on the sideline? It couldn't be more opposite. And I think Vic needs to, I was fine with getting rid of music when Vic did it a couple of years ago for focus and everything, but it's very clear, and it's silly and sad that you have to rely on music to try to get these guys going, but you got to do something because it feels dull and underwhelming and uninspiring.
It doesn't feel dull. It is dull. Like, football practices inherently aren't the most exciting things in the world, but there should be some exciting moments. Like you said, the crowd cheered for Brett Rippon's 20-yard scramble, the Judy touchdown, which was a sack, and I think that's it.
Yep.
That's the only time the crowd, like, there's a solid crowd out there today.
Mm-hmm. And
everyone, like, they're finding more interesting stuff on their phone than what they're seeing out on the field. It's so uninspiring, and I really did come away just, like, thinking about the coaches. Why is no one raising their voice? Like, I realize these are grown men. You can't just chew them out all the time. But I remember very specifically a practice, I guess it was after the Super Bowl season. They came out and they were just so lackadaisical, which is they looked like what is just a standard practice this season. But back then it looked really lackadaisical. And Gary Kubiak, like, ran over to the person in charge of the music, said, "Cut the damn music." He used a more colorful word. Stopped everything, gathered everyone around, and just tore into these guys for like 4 straight minutes. Like, we have a Super Bowl to defend. What the F are you guys doing out here? This is garbage. I can't watch this. So get it together, or we're going to run gassers the rest of practice. And you know what they did? They got it together, and they had a good rest of the practice. Again, I'm keying in on the coaches for like minutes at a time. They're not doing anything.
So then, Ryan, you really wouldn't like what happened after practice even more. Vic said it was a good practice. It was good energy after the day off. He said it was better than the last time they came back after a day off. And so if this was better in your eyes, oh boy, what's going on?
Exactly. And I don't know if he's just saying that.
He could be.
He could be. You know, like they're defending the team. They want to keep interest high, like all that stuff. I'd probably say it too if I was in his position. But I just came away being like, these coaches aren't going to last.
The comments are asking if you could give credit to the defense.
So there was a time in my life where I would have done that. But I don't think I can anymore because I know what bad offense looks like in training camp. I've seen it 5 years in a row. And this is bad offense. And while this defense is good, they're not the ones forcing Drew Lock to throw the ball 3 yards behind his receiver. Right. You know, like there's a time where Noah Fant's coming open over the middle. He's not wide open by any means, but he's open. And then Drew throws it behind him and it gets knocked away. Or Teddy did the same thing. I think I counted 5 passes to receivers who could have been thrown open that were thrown behind them. And in fact, even Teddy's touchdown in the red zone period at the end that he threw to Noah Fant was behind him. And I don't know if we'll see a highlight of that. From my perspective, it looked like Justin went to knock it away and just missed the ball, and that's how Noah caught it. But that was he was going across the back end zone towards me. He had to turn away from me to catch it. And that was like all day these guys are throwing behind the receivers. And to me, well, I still think Teddy did win the day by, I mean, if this was baseball, it was 1-0 on like a sack fly.
Underwhelming.
Very underwhelming.
Boring to watch.
Boring to watch. And I think he won the day, but he had by far the worst play of the day, in my opinion.
Yeah, with that interception.
It's unacceptable.
So let's take it through. So they're in a red zone period, working from what, the 5? I mean, they were very close. They're not working like 20 yards
from the 5,
out.
yeah.
And the
4, actually.
One of the first plays, Teddy's under center, does a bootleg, and Noah Fant goes across the middle of the end zone and is screeching across from middle to left. Catches, and Teddy throws kind of a dart to get it by Justin Simmons. I thought it was good enough placement, but Justin did dive for it, and he looked so disappointed after. So it could have been what you're saying, is he missed it by just a couple of centimeters. So in my eyes, good play, touched for the Broncos. But then I don't know why they're doing this. Speaking of coaches and just things that at least didn't make sense to me, they ran the same play 2 plays later. The exact same play, and I'm not trying to excuse Teddy by any means, but because Teddy should have never thrown this ball. Justin's a very smart player, maybe one of the smartest players in the NFL, Ryan. He saw what was coming the whole play. You go, oh, Teddy's doing this again. Noah's doing this again. I'm just going to jump the route, and that's what he did. I couldn't even see, and I had the angle of kind of way behind Teddy. I couldn't even see Noah because it was just Justin right there. Inexcusable play. When
I tell you Noah Fant was never open for a millisecond on the entire play, he was not open for any moment at any, like, and I'm watching the same play develop, and I can see that Justin, he's not even running. Yeah. He knows exactly where Noah's going. He's just beating him to the spot.
Yep.
And Teddy just throws it right to him.
Yep.
Like, just unacceptable from the 4-yard line. And who knows what down it was, but it wasn't 4th.
Right.
So just some bad stuff. Drew's interception, not nearly as bad. It's still bad. Mm-hmm. Blitz comes from the safety position. They sent, I think, 7 on the play. Blitz comes from the safety position. Drew tries to throw it over him, jumps up, tips it, intercepted by the defensive line. Those things happen, but still not good. And then there's this weird dynamic, Zach, going on with the reps. Did you count them up?
I have not counted the reps up.
By my unscientific numbers, I think Teddy Bridgewater got more reps today. He also got more reps on Wednesday, according to you guys who were there. So that is interesting. Well, and I'll circle back to why it's interesting here in a second. Late in the practice, you've got to move the ball, period. The most exciting part of practice.
Yep. And the most meaningful.
And I'm saying, as Drew gets out there, I literally said, this is a 0-0 tie. Someone got to do something.
Right.
Well, Drew on the first play does hit Tim Patrick. They didn't whistle it dead, but the whole defense is yelling, sack, 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 sack. The coaches are kind of nodding along with them. It was a sack. Especially since the offense is not getting any benefit of the doubt today. So then they just run the ball. So they actually move the ball to the spot. So I'm thinking, okay, they're trying to build some confidence here, give them a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
They run the ball 2 more times.
Mm-hmm.
And then Drew just comes off the field. Teddy goes in.
For a run play.
And he hands the ball off.
And that's it.
And then they go reset it for Teddy. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? I honestly looked to see if Drew was like seeing a trainer.
Yeah.
He wasn't. So they just didn't let Drew finish his own move the ball period. They let Teddy finish that period, and then they gave Teddy his period. And the combination of that, and we'll wait until you have the numbers, but I believe Teddy got more first-team reps and just reps overall than Drew today, tells me they might be starting to develop a favorite.
And Ryan, to go on your coaching staff rant just a little bit more, we've heard from Vic that he's open to giving one guy maybe all the first-team reps in a certain practice, or going 80-20, and then flipping it the next day to let these guys get in a groove. Because that's what happens in a real game, right? Guys get in a groove. Maybe they start 3 and out, but then they find a groove right after. It's hard to do that. And Vic's acknowledged that it's hard to get in a groove when you're being taken off and 2 other quarterbacks are going in front of you. And then we talked to Pat Shurmur on Wednesday, I believe. And Pat said, yeah, I like that idea of doing that. They didn't do it today. I asked Vic after practice if they're going to change anything up. They're not doing it. I would be surprised if they did that in Minnesota. So we're gonna
at the stadium practice.
Right, exactly. So we're gonna see an entire more week of this go through where they're not doing something that they want to do. And Ryan, we're getting to the point where there's barely any separation between these guys, and our quarterback scoreboard reflects that. We need to do something to find separation right now. And honestly, no separation is kind of the worst case scenario for the Broncos right now. And Vic would even say that, because Vic said he wants to see separation, and we're not seeing any separation.
And it's not that there's no separation because both guys are playing well.
Right.
It's just not.
Yeah.
Like, you could count on half a hand the good quarterback plays that happened today. And I don't even know if, they're very limited. Teddy Bridgewater had a nice throw to Trinity Benson. Drew Lock in 7-on-7 had a nice throw to Cortland Sutton. End list. There's the other 2 plays that I think were sacks.
Yeah, there were so many sacks. Some, the defense just absolutely right there, right away, so good on the defensive line. Some where they're just holding the ball on too long. Ryan, one of the things that I'm getting very concerned about is not Drew Lock's decision-making when he throws the ball, but the quickness of decision-making, and that was really evident in 7-on-7s today. He had multiple sacks in 7-on-7s. That's very scary.
Blown whistles,
right?
Because there's no rush.
Right, exactly. Blown whistles is something that really is inexcusable. You at least want to practice throwing the ball away, and so that's concerning to me. And we're seeing it bleed over into team as well. That's something that's concerning. And also these interceptions in the end zone from both quarterbacks, and today Teddy, that's concerning as well.
Yeah, like I said, people who listen to the show know I'm an optimistic guy. I went to practice saying, give me 5 good things to talk about, and I will use most of the podcast talking about those things. They just weren't there. The defense, yes, they're good. But to me, it doesn't even feel like they're having to work that hard.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And now it feels like the defense is really picking up steam. The first couple days, it was the offense really punching the defense, and they punched back, and it was a fair fight. Now it just seems like the defense is dominating.
It's almost like people want to talk about, maybe the defense is doing the offense a service by showing them how hard it is. And again, maybe it's just because I'm in a mood today. I feel like the offense is doing the defense a disservice by not giving them any good looks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
By the way, no formational creativity, no play creativity.
You didn't like that end around?
The end around that went for negative 10 yards.
Where you have Teddy Bridgewater out there blocking.
Yeah.
Blocking Bradley Chubb. That would have been bad.
Yeah, that would have been Drew time at that point. It's just rough. There's a lot of comments coming in, so I want to give the people a chance to have their voice heard. We normally, stick to the comments on the podcast, but I want to get to some of these in a second. So we will let you guys speak because I actually can't read them. So I'm just curious what people are saying on top of all of it. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to Hassel Cattle Company. You've heard of damn good beer. Hassel Cattle has damn good beef, and I'm telling you guys, I just try to tell as many people as I can about this because I know if they actually listen to me and order this, I'm going to get a text in the next couple weeks saying, oh my God, you were so right. And I like being right. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm not so high on the Broncos right now. It's the best. It's absolutely the best. And you can get buy 3 flank steaks, get one free right now when you use the code DNVRFlank. You can get 10% off your whole order when you use the code DNVR10. And if you go over $200, and trust me, you'll want over $200. By the way, that'll get you a lot because it's pretty affordable. But you'll get free shipping. So check out Hassel Cattle Company and get in on all that great stuff.
And speaking of the best, Ryan, the best over at Ball, I'm talking about Ball Arena, that company that has their name on the Nuggets and the Avs Stadium. They want to bring you in. They want to give you a job, and they are adding to their line capacity to their 400-person plant here in Golden, Colorado. They want to hire you because they're making billions, hundreds of billions of cans every single year. They're a sustainable company. They're a great place to work. My Aunt Julie just started working there, has only fantastic
Shout out,
things
Aunt
to
Julie.
say. Shout out. She listens to the pod, so
Aw.
big shout out there. And she only has fantastic things to say about Ball. So get in with Ball, and how you get a job with them is text 77222 or text Golden to 77222. That's GOLDEN to 77222, or go to jobs.ball.com and search for Golden to land a job at Ball.
Check them out. Also, you can get a great deal right now to become a DNVR member. Sign up for $59.88. Get a $60 gift card to the store, which you can get a ton of stuff. 2 shirts, shirt and a hat if you want to just copy this
a great
outfit.
combo.
There's all sorts of awesome stuff, and we've got new Bronco shirts coming, so get ready for that. Yeah, and check out all of the...
So you sign up and you get all of our stuff, and then we give you a gift card for more money.
For more money than you
actually
even paid. Yep.
Yeah, wow.
It's a pretty great deal.
It's a bold strategy from our end.
I'm not in charge of it, so I won't get yelled at about this. But yeah, and you can read the quarterback scoreboard, which I think it's still going to be close after today.
Yes, it will.
But couple practices in a row for Teddy.
Yep, a couple of close practices, but you keep stacking those days. That's consistency, and I think what this thing is going to come down to is consistency and safe play.
I don't necessarily agree with it, but I'm starting to get the feeling that the
Right.
coaches are leaning Teddy.
And boy, does it feel like maybe Drew is getting the idea of don't turn the ball over, don't turn the ball over, don't turn the
Can't
ball over.
play like that. You got to be the
he
best
can't.
version of yourself.
Don't you
not
get that
someone
feeling,
else.
though?
Yes. I don't know how you're not throwing like. In my opinion, as he's standing back there just looking around in 7-on-7, he's saying like, well, not throwing it's better than throwing an interception.
Right. Taking a sack is better than a pick.
And in reality, it is. But this is 7-on-7.
Right.
The offense should have a massive advantage in 7-on-7. And it's not like it's not like the weapons aren't there. I mean, how many times have we talked about the weapons?
Yep.
It's Cortland Sutton, it's Jerry Jeudy, it's Noah Fant. Those guys are someone's open.
Doesn't it seem like every day, except for Wednesday, Jerry Jeudy is the star on offense? And then it's kind of like, oh, yeah, that Tim Patrick made a play here or there. But you're not having star moments left and right from all these different guys that we view as stars.
I know.
And does that fall back on the quarterback?
I don't know. But what I will say is you just said it. We view them as stars. But if we walked out onto Colfax right now and just talked to a non-Broncos fan, someone, I don't know, they're wearing a Steelers jersey after their big preseason win last night, and just said like, hey, what do you think of Cortland Sutton? Do you think they would say, oh, he's an NFL star?
No.
I don't think so either.
Do you think they'd know Tim Patrick?
Nope.
KJ Hamler?
No.
Yeah.
Kareem Jackson, star?
No.
So...
Justin Simmons also does not get the respect outside of the country.
I was going to
outside
say,
of the state.
And again, I don't think the average NFL fan says like, "Oh, Justin Simmons, one of the best safeties in the league."
No.
So the question is, are we viewing these guys as stars because we're comparing them against the rest of the Broncos, which is a 5-11 team last year?
That's a tough question.
The one that I'm like very confident in, this guy's a star if he holds onto the ball, is Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Like that guy is an elite NFL talent.
I am too, and Ryan, I just have no question that he's the Broncos' #1 receiver.
Is Bradley Chubb an elite NFL talent?
No.
I don't think so either.
Not 8 sacks from a top 5 pick is not elite.
And again, the last year injuries, I'll give that excuse, but it's not like these guys have stacked up great seasons before that. So sometimes I wonder if our perspective is a little skewed just because we're looking at it too closely instead of looking at it on the whole.
Yeah, it's a great point. And speaking of Jerry Jeudy, he had his first drop today, which I don't say that in a bad way. I say that in an encouraging
Good way, yeah.
He went 7 whole practices without a drop. With that being his biggest question mark coming into this season, I actually applaud him. Now, if he keeps stacking those drop days where he has another drop tomorrow, another drop, then we're going to say, oh, no. Did he just have a good week? And now it's the real Jerry Jeudy's. I don't think that's going to happen. But if this maintains where it's 1 drop every 8 games, Ryan, he has 2 drops this season, we're going to be talking about an absolute star with no downside. Jerry Jeudy's always open, except for maybe 2 or 3 plays today. And that's because Patrick Surtain is starting to pick up on what Jerry Jeudy's doing. And these are honestly maybe the 2 guys that I am most encouraged about on the team. One of them is a second-year guy. The other has never played a snap in the NFL.
Mason and I did our Lifeboat Boys the other day, and I said, you only get 3.
Those are 2 of them.
Jeudy, Surtain, Garrett Bowles.
Garrett Bowles. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That is something else.
The positional value. I mean, Justin Simmons might be a better player. I think he is a better player.
Yeah.
But the positional value of left tackle, you have to hold on to him.
See what you did there. Got to hold on to him.
No, I wasn't doing that. He doesn't deserve that. All right. I'm sure a lot of people are upset. I'm upset too, so let's all be upset together.
I was gonna say you told the people to ask questions.
All right,
and
let's get to them. Let's let the people speak.
Why do you hate Drew?
Oh, wow.
I want a few people have said this, so I want
It's
you
fine.
to have time to clarify.
All I can say is RK is the biggest Drew hater out there.
Everyone knows I'm a Drew guy.
Yes.
I like Drew.
Yes.
I've been saying from the start, the best thing for the Broncos is Drew to be the guy.
Without a doubt.
It's not even comparable. And like I said, I wish I could have come on this show and been like, Mace is crazy. Drew is balling out. Teddy people are out of their mind. He didn't do anything for me to hang my hat on today. There was one throw inside the red zone. He fitted in a tight window to Noah on the goal line. Good. I liked that he trusted his arm and let it rip.
Yep.
But I don't hate Drew. I like Drew a lot,
No.
especially as a guy.
Right.
I want him to succeed.
Yeah. And just today from both of the quarterbacks, so underwhelming. Ryan, you touched on it, just how inaccurate both of them were. I mean, Drew was thrown low. Teddy was thrown way behind.
Right.
Just all the time. It was a really bad day.
Terrible. What else?
Ryan here saying, given what we know on Peyton, if it's needed to happen, when does he pull the plug on the coaches, during the season or at the end of the season?
So I've actually been the other side of this. I've been the one saying I'm pretty sure they're going to get the season. I'd have to see the way they coach up in Minnesota to know that now he's looking at his guys being like, what are they doing out there?
Right.
I kind of thought he liked Vic, but if they start, God forbid, I'll touch wood, if they start 1-3, 0-4, the seat is definitely going to be hot.
A rough September is the absolute worst thing for Vic Fangio. And again, that I think, and that's unfortunate for Drew, but that's why I think Drew can't be close with Teddy in this competition. Drew's got to, even if it's just a little separation, he's got to be the one on top. He's not going to get the benefit of the doubt because Vic knows I have 2 seasons, 0 wins in September under my belt. I have to get not just a win. Ryan, if they're 1-3, oh my gosh, and then you have a really tough part of your schedule coming up, you're going to be hosed.
Yep.
And I think if it's a close season, I think if they're flirting with 500, if they're 2-3, then 3-4, Vic keeps his job the entire season. Because I don't think George Payton wants to come here and blow things up. We saw that this year. No. George Payton didn't want to make any big moves. He didn't go after a quarterback. He didn't make any coaching moves. But if this thing is off the rails, I think George is going to have to say, okay, I can't lose credibility being the general manager. I can't let a 1-7 team go without any changes. Then I do think he makes a move. And I think that he doesn't just go to, the quarterback coach or Mike Munchak. I think he goes to Zach Azzani and says, is there an up-and-coming guy that maybe I can find a gem out of, which is the way he should approach it.
The one young, energetic coach on the staff.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, what else do we got?
All right, Tyler here saying how much of the throw behinds that we're having are because we aren't building chemistry with one QB. Receivers are going harder, Sutton coming back, Jeudy dominating, Fant making plays, but not from a single quarterback.
It's certainly not helping.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't say what's causing the issue because we're not out. We don't know what the quarterback is thinking. But it's definitely not helping that the quarterbacks aren't getting 100% of the reps to build chemistry with these guys.
And I'm certainly not going to give the quarterbacks that pass either, though, because they shouldn't be throwing it behind. But it doesn't help. We talk about it. Peyton Manning would never give up half his reps. He wouldn't give up 2 reps in a practice for someone else. This is certainly hurting.
How many team reps are the quarterbacks averaging per player per day?
I think it's like 20 reps per day.
Passes?
No.
So about 20 reps, maybe 13 throws.
Yeah.
So it should be 26, right, for the first team quarterback.
Yep.
Or maybe it's 20.
Yep.
20 throws out of 25. And they're just losing out on that. It's difficult for the receivers, too, because it's 2 very different balls. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't seen too many problems with the receivers dropping passes. Obviously, Tyree Cleveland had his issues. We talked about Judy's been great. Cortland, haven't seen anything. Tim, haven't seen any problems. So that's not messing them up that bad. But there's just something to be gained from having a rhythm with the quarterback. Kind of like the goal is to throw it right before he's coming out of his break, so it's there right as he comes out of it. It's a different throw for each guy. It's not helping. That's all I can say.
After practice, Vic said Baron Browning and Jamar Johnson. Jamar Johnson just had his first practice today. Baron Browning has not been out there. He said they're way behind. And he said the only way they've been in meetings, virtually or in person, the only way they can make that up is by getting on the field and playing. Makes me think of the quarterback position. Both of those guys are out there. Neither of them are way behind one another. But compared to the rest of the league, Ryan, a week and a half into training camp, both of these guys have had half the reps that every other quarterback has had. Just naturally connecting the dots, you can say they're way behind the rest of the NFL.
Yep.
And they're going to be until they make this decision.
Let me ask you this. Zach By asked it to me while we were standing on the hill today. I heard him ask it to Stokely on their show when I was driving over here. Do you think the Broncos... I'm gonna phrase it differently than he did, and then I'll say what he said. Do you think the Broncos are going to be the better team when they step on the field with the Vikings? Think they're going to win the practices?
No.
Okay, I don't either. Do you think that they're in for a wake-up call when they stand on those fields? Remember when we sat out there and we watched the San Francisco 49ers come out on the field, huddle up, they're getting each other hyped, and then they went and they just punched the Broncos in the mouth.
Yep, and this was a 49ers team that went to the Super Bowl that year, but that didn't do anything before. It's not like they were the NFC
Super
champs coming in with all the confidence. Yeah.
They had just gone like 6-10 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Vance Joseph was just fired, so it means that actually Kyle Shanahan was worse than Vance Joseph the past 2 years.
To that point, yes. Yep. Do you think they're in for a similar awakening when they get to Minnesota?
I think so.
I think so too. And it's not necessarily a talent thing because I don't think Minnesota is that much talent to them. It's an urgency thing. The way they practice is so slow.
It's slow. It's boring. And it really feels like there's no hype. And Ryan, they say that a team takes the identity of the head coach or the quarterback.
They don't have a quarterback.
And they don't have a quarterback. And the quarterback that they could take the identity of, probably the one that's a little more fiery, is Drew, you would think. He doesn't look like himself.
He's not himself at all.
He's not out there. I mean, honestly, props to Teddy. He's the only guy trying to do something, and it's jumping in the huddle. It's bouncing in the huddle. That's what they're doing, and Teddy does it every time, and it's great. He's doing something, but it's bouncing in the huddle. That's the most excitement we get.
Yeah, the best, most exciting part of the practice today is after Justin Simmons' interception, he's jokingly taunting the sideline, and then the ref runs over and throws a taunting flag, but they're laughing. That was the fun part of practice today. There's not really a lot of celebrating going on when a player makes a big play. You'll hear a little cheer from their side of the ball,
right?
And then 1 or 2 guys on their side will go tap them on the back or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it was Fangio in his first year. No, I think it was Vance Joseph who said if someone makes a big play, go celebrate.
Right.
Go run down there, jump around them, have some fun out here. It's supposed to be fun. It's football.
Yeah.
They're not having fun. What else do we got?
We've got people saying, "Bro, you weren't kidding, RK." Your
caught me on the wrong day.
Rhett here saying, "I'm scared that the QB question is pointless because the OC is toothless."
Well, you don't have to convince me of that.
A quarterback can come in, though, and make some checks at the line. We know that they're given a little bit of power of that, but also they can come in and hit their guys.
Yes.
And make the open reads. That's another thing that, not necessarily today, but in past practices this week, Drew, there's been something open. And then he's taken the check down because I can only imagine, I don't think it's because he's not seeing it, because he is going through his progressions better this training camp. It's because he's too afraid to take that. And it's crazy that in this week, so Monday to today's practice, with no practice yesterday, Teddy has by far taken more shots than Drew. It's not how it should be.
Yep.
He should be winning this not by trying to be Teddy.
Yeah, and Allie, don't be afraid to bring up like critical comments if they're out there.
She's like, we got plenty.
Drop
of them. Here
Dead
they come.
Freddie B has just commented that he's just bummed, and he just wrote, "Damn, y'all ruined my optimism for this season."
I told you to leave if you didn't want that to happen, because it happened to me today, and I didn't want to have to drag everyone down with me. But I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to lie to you. You know what? You know what Joe Ellis said when he sat up there and talked to us the day before training camp? He said every year the phrasing is very interesting. He said every year I've come up here and spewed optimism. Those were his words.
Yep.
He said I'm not going to do it this year.
Yep. That was Joe Ellis.
That was Joe Ellis, the president of the team.
The controlling owner.
And that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you guys and say like, oh my gosh, Draymond Jones is a beast, and like not tell you all the other crap that happened out there today.
Yeah, that's very fair, and that's where we are after 5 seasons of this.
Yes, exactly. It's 100% like wearing down the brake pads, right? Like there's not a lot left to grip onto.
And also, it's seeing what this means in the future, because we've seen dominant defenses in these past 5 years. We've seen good receivers and good tight ends in training camp. And those can translate to the regular season, Ryan, but it all comes down to the quarterback position, and the Broncos haven't had it. And when they had it with Drew, they went 4-1. The team was good enough to succeed, but then when they didn't have it last year, when Drew leads the league in interceptions, they're not they're a 5-11 team. They're a top 10 pick team, and so that's why just the fact that there's no separation at this quarterback thing is scary, because if you don't have if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any, really.
Right, totally.
Okay, Bree here saying, "Grumpy Ryan is making me sad, lol, but disheartened seems like a rational response. If lackluster practice leads to less injuries, it'll be worth it. I hope it picks up over the next few weeks."
That's one way to look at it.
Great spin. Great spin. And there hasn't been a lot, touch wood.
Yeah.
But there's also just not real football happening out there.
Right. And so, I mean, I asked Vic today because he was asked about Caden Stearns, and he said, well, we have to see him tackle. He gave very high praise for Caden Stearns, by the way, rookie safety who had an interception today, who also
I like him. He's electric.
He is, and he's picking up the defense really quick, according to Vic. But then Vic said, but we haven't seen him tackle. And so I said, well, how important is the tackling part of this in your evaluation? And he said, tackling is the most important thing on defense. It's the most important thing. And the Broncos haven't been able to evaluate that at all.
Just the same way that scoring is the most important thing on offense.
Right.
Jared then said, "Grumpy Ryan is a rare occurrence, but I don't know if I can handle it, to be honest."
Yeah, it's true. I don't know if, there was a day I remember, I actually think it might have been Jared who tuned in on a day like this where we were talking about like, what if everything goes wrong for the Broncos?
Yeah.
And like, it's like once a year where I'm just like, I don't have the optimism in me today. I certainly don't have it today.
That means you guys are all going to have to tune in to these weekend pods, especially Sunday. We'll get a positive, RK.
Possibly.
Well, speaking of that, Kenny said, "I usually hear how great the team looks around this time of year, and then we suck."
Maybe
Now
the
it's
opposite?
the opposite.
And that's what I was going to say. Look, I've been wrong 5 years in a row.
Right.
So maybe I'll be wrong again.
Right.
Because I don't think I touched on this in the first segment, but like this is the first time ever that right now, if you asked me to give you a win prediction, it would be lower than what I gave you before training camp started.
Yeah, that's shocking.
Yeah.
And you were right around 500.
Yep, I was right around, I think I said 9 wins originally.
So right now, I have to imagine you're kind of floating around that 6-11.
So I'm at 7. I would probably say 7 right now.
Okay.
7 and 10.
Came down 2 games.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's fair. I'll throw a bit of optimism in here, something that we haven't fully talked about.
Let's go, baby.
You've mentioned his name. Draymond Jones was
awesome.
a monster today. And again, you hope that's because he's a monster and not the offensive line looking really bad. But I mean, the first play where Teddy threw the touchdown on the left sideline to Jerry, Teddy did not hold on to the ball too long, so I'm not going to discount him for the throw.
Right.
Draymond was there.
He was.
Right away, right in his face. 2 plays later, Draymond there again. I think that was actually blown dead as
Given
a
the
sack.
sack.
And then Drew was sacked 2 times by Draymond. So Draymond had 3 or
Maybe
4
4.
sacks today in practice. It reminds me of Von Miller. Remember when he would just ruin practices? That's how good Draymond Jones was.
Was
today.
he out there today, Von Miller?
Yeah.
Oh,
Unfortunately.
wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb,
Yep.
you practiced?
Yep. He was out there.
Cool.
Okay, so we've got a bunch more. So let's just kind of answer these a little
All right, let's
more
go
quickly.
rapid fire.
D-line dominating because of O-line struggling, or is it them just being good?
I've been around Eric Weedham so much that
That's
know,
what I
I
thought.
D-line
too.
dominating. I was like, yeah, D-line is dominating.
I thought
He dominates
D-line
every
and then
week.
online with D-line.
Right. Oh, O-line with D-line, online with D. So the question was, is the D-line dominating because the O-line is struggling?
I want to say it's the D-line dominating, but Ryan, they're rotating guys in and out like crazy. I mean, Marquise Spencer's getting a lot of time with the ones. You have Deshaun Williams getting a lot of time with the ones, and those guys are still doing really well. So it makes me think, what's the constant here? It's the offensive line.
And it's not the exterior
It's
of
not.
the offensive line.
It's the interior. Yeah.
Cush looks stronger. He looks a little more sturdy.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been great.
Nope.
Graham Glasgow, he was my, what did we do, the weakest link?
Yeah.
He might be
Goodbye.
the weakest link on offense.
Speaking of him really quick, after practice, Vic was asked, who's someone out of anyone that stood out to you? He said Netani Muti.
Yeah, I love me some Muti.
Okay.
Okay, keep going.
Kenny says Bulls should be a lesson on early panic.
With
It's different.
prospects,
but-
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The one that I guess there's more evidence of non-quarterbacks figuring it out as time goes on than there are of quarterbacks. Now, a lot of that is because in 2021, quarterbacks just don't get the chance to figure it out over a long sample size. And that was one of the reasons why I was pulling for Drew to win this competition. So I thought, man, it's pretty rare for a guy to get what would end up being 2.3 years or whatever to figure it out if he got this whole season. So maybe he does turn it around and get it rolling, and that would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we're panicking on any of the young players.
No, not at all.
But Bulls, absolutely a great story, and as to why you shouldn't, freak out over guys too early.
Speaking of guys that want to turn it around, Josh Allen turning it around. You see that payday? Whoo! Holy cow!
150 mil guaranteed.
$43 million a year.
Deserves it.
Wow. What are the odds that Drew Lock's getting that contract in 2 years?
Very low. 5%.
Okay, I mean, you're pretty good at setting the odds, so I'll take that.
Yeah, so I don't know what that translates
20
to.
to
and-
1.
Yeah, 20 to 1.
Yep.
So plus 2,000.
Yep.
It might be even
Yeah, when you put it like
maybe
that.
plus 5,000 maybe.
Yeah.
All right. We have 2 questions that are pretty similar. One is, do you guys think Peyton made the right decision round 1 of the draft? The other is, how bad is it now that we passed on Fields?
Okay, so did he make the right decision in round 1 of the draft? Here's what it comes down to. Is Justin Fields a competent quarterback? An above average quarterback?
I think so.
If so, the answer is no. He
What
did
do you
not
think
make the right decision.
right now?
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen anything. I haven't been reading about Bears camp, so I just don't know. But we're going to find out. We're fixing to find out.
Yes, we are.
I don't know if it'll be even as soon as week 1. I don't know what their plan is out there. If Justin Fields turns out to be, and this is where it gets muddy, because if he's good, not great, and let's say he has an Andy Dalton-esque career,
Right.
then I guess you look back and say, well, maybe not. But what was the Broncos quarterback situation for his career? Maybe next year the Broncos find their guy. He's better than Justin Fields. Then he made the right decision. There's a lot of dominoes that have to fall. And Pat Surtain, awesome.
Yep.
He's awesome.
He's shown only good things.
Yes. So when he says he made the safe decision, I think he's absolutely right. He did make the safe decision. He's going to get a Pro Bowler out of it probably.
Yeah.
But it's just we have to wait to see how the dominoes fall. If Justin Fields is good, then no.
And there's no way George Payton can escape that. Throw
Right.
Mac Jones in there too, and that's a bad situation because if he's going to succeed anywhere, I think a lot of people thought you don't want him going San Francisco or New England.
Yep. By the way, Trey Lance, my QB 2, looking very, very good out
Yes,
there.
he is. He's going to be the quarterback,
Okay.
I think so.
as
too.
he should be.
We have Luke here saying, I just joined and I'm confused on why the optimism is gone now.
Would you like
It was
to
a rough
explain?
practice. Go back and watch the live or go back and listen to the podcast. So you
Yeah,
can
I
know all
warned
that
everyone
stuff.
that it was a bad day. And honestly, none of the practices I've been to have been good. Mm-hmm. Today was just the worst one, and it was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
Robert here saying, this is a depressing podcast, but everything they are saying is true. Kenny said, I listen to you guys every day on my truck drive. Love, 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 love.
Love you,
Oh
Kenny.
yeah, Kenny. Thanks for listening in.
Then we've got Marcos here saying, are the Nuggets now Colorado's team?
Nope.
Yeah, no.
I love the Nuggets too, and I love the Avs, and I
don't
even
know
love the
what
Rockies.
that would take.
It's
A
years and
championship.
years of the same paths they're on.
Right.
But, I mean,
Go in the
and
directions.
championships.
And a championship.
Right.
Bradley here saying, who will have more wins, Broncos or the Buffs?
Well, it's funny because I walked in and I was just telling Henry I was in such a bad mood after that practice, and he was like, "Well, the Buffs look great,"
Yay.
and then he goes, "According to Carl Durrell." It's like, "Oh yeah, you don't get to watch."
According to Vance Joseph, he would have kept his job.
Yeah. So who's gonna win? I mean, the Buffs have a lot fewer
was gonna
opportunities, especially
say.
now that the Broncos have an extra game.
Right. It better be the Broncos.
So it better be the Broncos, or
Yeah.
they're another coaching search.
So
That's
with
just what I
that,
keep thinking.
Andrew says, what's the end of the season record prediction now?
Well, and I just gave that. I'm at 7-10 right now.
And I was at 8 and 9, and I'll go down a game.
Yep.
So we're both
God, I
we're
hate
both sitting
that.
at the same spot because this team is too good to be terrible.
Right, and it's funny because and I hate that I'm even bringing up this name. I really don't want to, but I'm going to do it anyway. When the Aaron Rodgers dream died, I was like, all right, time to turn the
okay.
page, flip the switch, focus on these guys. Mm-hmm. And now as I'm watching, I'm like, all right, that's why we wanted that so much. I want to see them try that drill, throwing to the basketball hoop in the back of the end
Oh
zone
my
from
gosh.
50 yards away.
Oh my gosh, just insane.
Okay.
What else?
We've got
Well, how many minutes in are we, by the way?
48.
Okay, we're gonna get
These are
a couple
these are the
more
last
here real
ones.
quick.
Look, these are the last ones
Okay,
that
cool.
I've got. These are the ones I favorited. A lot of sacks today. How's the O-line depth looking?
The O-line depth is okay.
I think it's better than it has been.
There's two pieces that you really like. Calvin Anderson
Yep.
As a swing tackle. Bobby Massey getting today, so it seems like now maybe they're on a good rotation. But whoever doesn't win that job is going to be very good depth. And then Muti. I mean, Vic's noticed it. I've noticed it. He looks even stronger than he was last year. You do wonder about center, though, because it's not even a competition. What happens if Lloyd Cushenberry struggles? He has improved, but how much has he improved? Is it
Glasgow
that slides over? You got to get Muti on the field if you take someone off, though.
Right, he's your first option to turn to.
Yep.
It's exciting with Muti because we haven't really had something like this to look like a high potential offensive lineman that people are excited about. It's just interesting to me. George Payton's not the one who gave Graham Glasgow that contract.
Right.
So
That's a good point.
is there a time here where he starts to give Muti some first team reps just to see?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt.
And it's almost too late now, though, to experiment with a new mix because I would like to see if Glasgow can thrive at center. It's
Right.
not happening for him at his current position.
And it's not going to happen. I think you said it. It's too late in. We're too far.
Probably too far down the road. All right, what else?
Okay, we've got, will the offense be as good as the defense is good?
Will the offense be as bad,
Bad
as
as
the
the
defense is
defense
good?
is good.
That's been the story every year.
You hope not. And you hope that, Ryan, I really do believe that the Broncos are going to try to run the ball more than any other team in the NFL. Now, if they get down because of an early interception thrown or something like that, then that's really going to throw off their plans. But I think that's what they're going to try to do going into the season and really try to take pressure off. But then your offensive line has to be good for that to happen.
So the defense we expect to be top 5. In fact, 5 is like the floor.
That Yes, it's disappointing if they're outside
It's
of
the
that.
acceptable floor. Is the offense going to be bottom 5? All they have to be is
shouldn't
average.
be.
All they have to
Oh
be is
my
average, and this
goodness.
team will be okay. But I don't know. I wouldn't if you gave I wouldn't predict it.
I think the defense will be better
Then the
offense
offense
is bad.
I do too.
Okay. Then we have Vanessa here asking, is Locke scared of this QB competition? He said he's never been in a competition before, so he's maybe he's taking it hard.
This isn't to Drew. This is something I've said before that comment. But if you're not going to thrive if you're going to fail because of a competition, well, then you're just not the guy anyway. And so I don't think Locke's taking it hard. What I do think is he's trying to be someone else right now. And if he continues to do that, he's going to lose this job.
100%. I don't think he's afraid of the competition. I think he's afraid of making mistakes.
Right.
Because of what it means with the competition. So there's a little bit of that. Drew needs to figure out, how do I be the best version of Drew Lock? Not how do I be more like Teddy Bridgewater.
He said he's a calculated gunslinger. That's the word he used earlier this week. The
Calculations
gunslinger,
are off.
The gunslinger still has to be there.
Yes.
It can't just be the calculated part. If Drew Lock last year went out and threw 15 interceptions but had 30 touchdowns, we'd be like, okay, we want to see the interceptions come down, but we love where he's at.
What's funny
That's
is
the starting point, Ryan, is that.
when was the best we saw Drew Lock last year? Like in the game. The fourth quarter when they're down.
Yep.
And he just lets it rip.
Yep.
Now, again, you talk about prevent defense, all that stuff. There is some of that involved. But Drew, it can't be. I used to always get so mad when the Nuggets had J.R. Smith. And George Karl would bring him in when they were down 20 and just be like, all right, go shoot some threes.
Right.
And, he'd hit a few and it wouldn't be enough. It's like, you can't be that.
Right.
You can't let it rip once you're down 20
Yep.
and you need to make something happen. Make something happen so you're not in that position.
Yeah, really cool story that Peyton Manning told on the Fan to Zach By and our friend Brandon Stokely yesterday. Was he said that the no huddle offense was founded by they would go down early. Like, I think this was 2002 or something. They go down 14-0, and then they would go into the no huddle because they had to come back. And then after doing that 2 straight weeks, Peyton said to, I believe, Jim Mora, he said, why don't we just start like this?
Yeah.
And then boom, there you go.
Why don't they build the whole plane out of the black box?
Exactly.
All right, I
We
think.
have two more.
Okay, all right, we gotta go.
You got to answer faster.
Sorry, we're trying to be thorough.
Chris said, do you think it's a fair assessment to say that the time to really hit the panic button if the QBs look awful against Minnesota in scrimmage?
I would just wait for the game.
1 week, 8 days from
Yep.
now, we'll know.
Yeah, wait for the game. Let's see what happens in the game.
Yeah.
If they get smacked around by Minnesota in the game and the quarterbacks look bad, I mean, I kind of already pressed it, so I don't know where I go from here.
I think everyone else will be jumping on board.
I think, yeah.
Or
exactly.
jumping off.
Yeah, jumping off board. Yeah, come join me in the open waters.
In the sinking ship.
Okay, last question here from Capwise. Do
Yes.
Judy or Sutton go over 1,000 receiving yards?
Yes, and I'd have to instantly answer that. Jerry Jeudy is a number 1 receiver in this league.
Yeah.
And I think I don't even know if it's a hot take anymore, but Jerry Judy's the best wide receiver on this team now, and he's going to be at the end of the year as well.
If I worked for the team and I had to do a podcast after today's practice, I would have just done
Draymond
an hour on
Judy,
Draymond and Judy.
because you can't say anything bad.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I would just, those are the 2 guys who are really exciting on this team.
Yeah.
And Judy is number 1. I mean, far and away, the most exciting player on this team. And I can't wait to watch him do some great things out there.
Always up with. I don't even want to know what these quarterbacks look like through camp if they don't have Jerry Jeudy, because he has been so good. I mean, literally, I think like 95% of the routes he's open.
Which, again, we go back to last year. No, I'm not going to end on a bad note. We're going to end on the good note of Jerry Jeudy being freaking awesome. Let's see what happens in Minnesota. Maybe they do get that wake-up call that I think they desperately, desperately need, and it turns things around for the rest of camp. So that'll be my positive spin heading into the weekend. Thank you guys for tuning into the live. We are going to hop over to the podcast. If you enjoyed this, or if you just like that we were honest, hit us with a thumbs up. I would understand if you didn't necessarily enjoy it, but
don't hit us with the dislike.
Don't hit us with a
because you didn't
dislike
like
just
what
because we
they
were
said.
honest.
Yeah, don't do that to
We'll
us.
catch you guys later.